Captain Jiho Kang stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the stars through the viewport. His ship floated in neutral space, 3 days from Earth. Today was supposed to be historic. Today, humanity would meet aliens for the first time. "Captain, we're detecting the alien ship," said Nari Choi from the engineering station. "It's bigger than ours, much bigger." Jiho nodded. He had expected that. Earth had only been traveling through space for 70 years. These aliens had been doing it for thousands. "Send the greeting message. Let Dr. Park know they're here." Dr. Hana Park entered the bridge moments later. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. For 5 years, she had prepared for this moment. She had learned everything humanity knew about possible alien contact. Now, it was real. The alien ship appeared on their screens. It was enormous, shaped like a curved blade and covered in smooth silver metal. It made the Indomitable look like a child's toy. "They're responding to our message," said the communications officer. "Opening a channel now." The main screen flickered. An alien face appeared. It had 4 eyes arranged in a square pattern, pale blue skin, and no nose that humans could recognize. When it spoke, the translation system turned its sounds into words. "Primitive craft. You are in violation of Galactic Union space," the alien said. Its voice was cold. "I am Ambassador Threlmon of the Velkari. You will identify yourselves." Hana stepped forward. She had practiced this speech 100 times. "Greetings, Ambassador. I am Dr. Hana Park, representing humanity and the planet Earth. We come in peace. We wish to establish friendly relations with your Galactic Union." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Then it made a sound that the translator couldn't interpret. Other aliens appeared behind it, and they were all making the same sound. Jiho realized they were laughing. "Humanity? Earth?" Threlmon said. "We have reviewed your planet's data. You come from a Class 12 death world. Your species fights constant wars. Your planet is filled with predators, diseases, and natural disasters. You are barbaric apes from a hostile rock." Hana's face remained calm, but Jiho saw her hands tighten. "We have overcome our world's challenges," she said. "We have built civilizations, created art, explored science, and now we reach for the stars. We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves as peaceful members of the galactic community." "Peaceful?" Threlmon's eyes narrowed. "Your broadcasts show nothing but violence. Your history is war after war. Your entertainment celebrates death and conflict. No civilized species behaves this way." "Our past does not define our future," Hana said. "We have learned from our mistakes. We offer friendship." "The Galactic Union does not befriend primitives," Threlmon said. "Your species will submit to Union authority. You will accept our guidance and our laws. You will surrender your weapons and allow Union observers on your world. This is not a negotiation. This is your only option." Jiho stepped beside Hana. "And if we refuse? Then you will be pacified," Threlmon said simply. "Your species is not ready for the galaxy. We will help you become civilized, whether you wish it or not." The bridge fell silent. Every human officer stared at the screen in disbelief. They had traveled across the void of space with hope in their hearts. They had prepared for wonder and friendship. Instead, they found contempt and threats. "We need time to discuss this with our government," Jiho said carefully. "Can you give us 3 days to—" "No," Threlmon interrupted. "You have 1 hour to accept our terms. If you refuse, we will demonstrate the consequences of defiance." The screen went dark. Jiho immediately opened a channel to Admiral Yoon back on Earth. The Admiral's weathered face appeared, and Jiho quickly explained what had happened. "They're giving us an ultimatum," Jiho said. "Submit or face attack." Admiral Yoon was quiet for a long moment. "The world leaders are meeting now. But Jiho, I know what they will say. Humanity has fought for freedom for thousands of years. We did not reach the stars just to kneel to the first bully we meet. Understood, sir, Jiho said. What are your orders? If they attack, you defend yourself and get your crew home, Yoon said. We will deal with whatever comes next. The hour passed slowly. The crew of the Indomitable prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Hana tried to open communication channels again, but the Velkari ship ignored every attempt. When the hour ended, Threlmon's face appeared again. What is your answer? Jiho stood tall. Humanity refuses to submit. We will not surrender our freedom. We wish for peace, but we will not accept slavery. Then you have chosen extinction, Threlmon said. Let this be a lesson to your species about defying the Union. The screen went dark. Alarms screamed across the bridge. They're charging weapons, Nari shouted. Multiple targeting locks. Evasive maneuvers, Jiho ordered. Return fire! Protect the crew! The Indomitable lurched as energy beams slammed into its hull. The alien ship was too fast, too powerful. The human vessel's shields collapsed in seconds. Explosions ripped through the lower decks. Hull breach on levels 4 through 7, Nari reported, her voice shaking. We've lost life support in those sections. Jiho gripped his chair as another blast hit them. How many casualties? At least 200, the medical officer reported. The crew quarters. They hit the crew quarters first. 200 people. 200 humans who had volunteered for this mission, who had believed in a peaceful future among the stars, dead in minutes because they refused to become slaves. The Indomitable fired back, but their weapons barely scratched the alien ship's shields. They were outmatched in every way. We can't win this fight, Hana said quietly. We need to retreat. Jiho hated to run, but she was right. All power to engines, get us out of here. The damaged ship turned and fled toward Earth at maximum speed. The Velkari ship followed for several minutes, firing occasionally before finally breaking off pursuit. In the silence that followed, Jiho walked through the damaged corridors. He saw the bodies of his crew members being carried to the medical bay. He saw the shattered walls and the burned metal. He saw the faces of the survivors, filled with shock and grief. Admiral Yoon's face appeared on a screen. Report, Captain. 212 dead, sir, Jiho said. His voice was hollow. We offered them peace. They answered with murder. Then we will answer back, Yoon said. They have made a terrible mistake. They think we are primitives. They think we are weak. Let us teach them what humans from a death world can really do. Jiho looked at the stars ahead, where Earth waited, where billions of humans would soon learn that they were not alone in the universe, and that the galaxy was not the friendly place they had hoped for. Yes, sir, Jiho said. Let's show them exactly what we are. Sumin Lee sat in the dark intelligence room, surrounded by screens showing alien communications. She had been listening to Galactic Union transmissions for 3 days now, ever since the attack on the Indomitable. What she heard made her blood run cold, but not for the reasons anyone expected. Commander Shin, you need to hear this, she said into her headset. Commander Taeyang Shin entered the room minutes later. He was the head of Earth's Special Operations Division, a tall man with scars from the Asian Wars of 2251. He had seen combat, he understood death, but nothing had prepared him for what was coming. What did you find? He asked. Suman played the intercepted transmission. Alien voices spoke in their own language, but Earth's computers had been working non-stop to translate everything. The words appeared on screen as the aliens talked. Did you see the report from the Velkari? One voice said. They encountered the humans from that death world. The Class 12 planet? The one with all the predators and the terrible weather? Another voice answered. Did the humans surrender? No. Ambassador Threlmon had to destroy their ship. They refused to submit to Union guidance. How many died? Only a few hundred. The Velkari let the damaged ship escape as a warning to the rest of their species. There was a pause. Then the first voice spoke again, and Sumin heard something in the tone that made her pause the recording. A few hundred survived a Velkari attack? How is that possible? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. High Chancellor Vexlar is sending a fleet, 30 ships. The humans will surrender when they see our numbers. Taeyang stared at the screen. They sound surprised that we survived. That's not all, Sumin said. She pulled up another file. I've been researching the Galactic Union's database. They classify planets by danger level. Earth is rated Class 12. That's the highest rating in their system. What does that mean? Most Union species come from Class 2 to Class 4 worlds. Gentle planets with calm weather, few predators, and easy food. Earth has hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, and floods. It has sharks, bears, snakes, and spiders. It has diseases that can kill in days, winters that freeze and summers that burn. Taeyang nodded slowly. And we survived all of that. We thrived in it. More than that, Sumin continued, no species from a Class 12 world has ever reached spaceflight before. The Union thought it was impossible. They think we're some kind of anomaly. She pulled up more files. Look at this, the Union's military history. Their last war was 400 years ago. It lasted 3 weeks. Total casualties for both sides, 43,000. They called it the Great Catastrophe, and they created the Union specifically to make sure nothing like it ever happened again. 43,000 in 3 weeks? Taeyang said quietly. We lost more than that in single battles during World War II. Exactly, Sumin said. They don't understand war, not real war. They think shooting at a few hundred humans and killing some of them would be enough to make us surrender. They expected us to beg for mercy immediately. Taeyang sat down heavily. They don't know what they've done. No, Sumin agreed. They don't. Across the Pacific Ocean, Doyen Kim was preparing for his mission. He stood in the hangar bay, looking at the Silent Reaper. It was Earth's first stealth warship, designed to slip through space without being detected. It was small, fast, and nearly invisible to scanners. You ready? Asked the chief engineer. Ready as I'll ever be, Doyen said. He climbed into the cockpit. The mission was simple but dangerous. Fly into Union space, track their fleet movements, and report back. Don't get caught. The Silent Reaper launched from the hidden military base on Mars. Within hours, Doyen was beyond human space, heading toward the coordinates where the Union fleet was gathering. He kept his systems running on minimal power, drifting through the void like a piece of space debris. When he found the Union fleet, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. 30 alien warships floated in formation. They were enormous, each one 3 times the size of Earth's largest vessels. Their weapons were clearly visible, mounted along their hulls. They looked unstoppable. But Doyen had trained his whole life to analyze enemy forces. He watched how the ships moved. He studied their formations. And slowly, he began to notice things. The ships moved in perfect lines, never deviating from their patterns. Their formations were textbook perfect, but rigid. There was no creativity, no adaptation. They moved like they were performing a drill, not preparing for battle. He listened to their communications. The captains talked to each other in polite, formal language. They discussed the mission to pacify Earth like they were planning a training exercise. There was no urgency, no fear, no real understanding of what they were about to face. These aliens had ships and weapons, but they didn't have warriors. They didn't have soldiers who understood that war was chaos and death. They were going to Earth expecting a quick surrender. They were going to get something very different. Doyen recorded everything and sent the data back to Earth using quantum transmission. Then he followed the fleet as it began its journey toward human space. On the Velkari flagship, High Chancellor Vexlar reviewed the mission reports. He was an old Velkari, his blue skin faded to almost white with age. He had led the Galactic Union for 30 years, and in that time, there had been perfect peace. Until now. "The humans refused our generous offer of guidance," he said to his advisors. "This is unfortunate but not surprising. Deathworld species are known for their aggressive tendencies. A show of force will correct their behavior." "Should we be concerned that they survived the first attack?" one advisor asked. Ambassador Threlmon's report suggested they were more resilient than expected. "Resilience does not equal strength," Vexlar said. "We are bringing 30 ships against a species that has barely left their home system. They will see our fleet, understand the futility of resistance, and submit. This will be resolved peacefully. And if they fight? Then we will disable their ships and occupy their planet until they accept Union guidance," Vexlar said. "We will do this with minimal casualties on both sides. The Union does not wage war. We correct mistakes." The advisors seemed satisfied. None of them questioned the plan. None of them had ever seen real war. Back on Earth, Commander Taiyang Xin briefed Admiral Yoon and the other military leaders. He shared everything Suman had discovered about the Union's lack of military experience. He showed them Doyen's reconnaissance data about the fleet's rigid formations and predictable tactics. "They think they're sending enough force to intimidate us," Taiyang said, "but they don't understand what they're walking into. Their ships are designed for exploration and peaceful missions. Their weapons are powerful but meant for precise, limited engagements. Their crews have never experienced sustained combat." "And we have?" Admiral Yoon asked. "Sir, humans have been fighting wars for our entire history," Taiyang said. "We know how to take damage and keep fighting. We know how to adapt when plans fail. We know how to be afraid and fight anyway. These aliens don't have any of that." Admiral Yoon looked at the star map showing the Union fleet's approach. "They killed 200 of our people without warning. They called us primitives. They demanded we surrender our freedom. And now they're bringing 30 ships to finish the job." He turned to his officers. "Prepare our forces. We'll meet them at Kepler Station. Let's show them what happens when you attack humans from a death world." Across Earth and its colonies, the military mobilized. Ships that had been in dock for repairs were rushed back into service. Weapons factories worked around the clock. Soldiers who had been training in peace suddenly prepared for real war. The aliens were coming with 30 ships. Humanity would be ready with everything it had. In the cold void of space, Doyen Kim watched the Union fleet approach human territory. He sent one final message back to Earth. "They're coming. They still don't understand what they started. God help them." General Bora Im watched the Union fleet approach on her command screen. 30 massive alien warships moved toward Kepler Station in perfect formation. They looked beautiful and terrible against the black of space. "They're not even trying to hide," she said to her officers. "They're broadcasting their arrival on open channels. They're demanding we surrender," her communications officer reported. "They say resistance is futile and they wish to minimize casualties." Bora allowed herself a cold smile. "How polite. Tell them we're evacuating the station and considering their demands. Ask for 6 hours. Will they give us that much time?" "Yes," Bora said. "Because they think they've already won." Kepler Station was humanity's largest outpost in the outer colonies. It had been built as a trading hub and refueling point, with space for 10,000 people. Right now, those people were boarding evacuation ships as quickly as possible, but Kepler had secrets. Hidden beneath its civilian surface were weapons platforms that had been installed after the first alien attack, missile batteries, railguns, and most importantly, an automated defense system that could operate without any human crew aboard. The Union fleet sent another message. "We are graciously allowing you time to evacuate. Once your people are safe, we will occupy the station until Earth agrees to Union terms." Such generous conquerors. muttered Arin Hong from the weapons station. She was young but had been training for this moment her entire career. Should I target their command ships? Not yet, Bora said. Let them think we're beaten. Let them get comfortable. The last evacuation ship departed. Kepler Station now appeared empty and defenseless. The Union fleet moved closer, surrounding the station from multiple angles. They're preparing to board, the tactical officer reported. Landing craft are launching. Perfect, Bora said. She was commanding from the human battleship Retribution, hidden behind Kepler's moon, along with 15 other Earth warships. Let them get nice and close. On the Velkari flagship, High Chancellor Vexillar watched his forces move into position. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The humans had evacuated without a fight. Soon, Union troops would occupy the station, and this unpleasant business would move to the negotiation phase. See, he said to his advisors, they are reasonable after all. Violence was unnecessary. The station is now in boarding range, his tactical officer reported. Shall we proceed? Yes, but remember minimum force. We are here to guide them, not destroy them. The Union landing craft approached Kepler Station. Alien soldiers prepared to disembark, expecting to meet either surrender or minimal resistance. They had trained for peaceful occupation, not battle. Then everything changed. Kepler Station's automated systems activated. Every hidden weapon port opened simultaneously. Missiles launched in waves. Railguns fired streams of metal at incredible speeds. Energy weapons blazed across the void. The nearest Union landing craft exploded before their crews even understood what was happening. The automated systems didn't hesitate, didn't negotiate, didn't show mercy. They just fired. We're under attack, someone screamed on the Union command channel. The station was a trap. Vexillar stared in horror as his ships took damage. Return fire! Destroy that station! The Union fleet opened up with everything they had. Energy beams and missiles slammed into Kepler Station. The structure began to break apart, pieces of metal and plastic spinning into space. But the damage was done. Half the landing craft were destroyed, and several of the smaller Union ships were crippled. They sacrificed their own station, Vexillar said in disbelief. What kind of species does that? Then the real attack began. Detecting new contacts, the tactical officer shouted. Multiple ships emerging from behind the moon. The human fleet appeared like predators emerging from the shadows. Admiral Yoon had positioned his forces perfectly. The Union ships were clustered around the destroyed station, their formations disrupted, their commanders confused. All ships, fire at will, Admiral Yoon ordered calmly. Doyen Kim's stealth ship had been feeding real-time data to the human fleet throughout the Union's approach. Every ship's position, every weakness in their formation, every gap in their coverage. The humans had a complete picture of the enemy. What the Union had was chaos. Arin Hong's fingers flew across her weapons console. She targeted the engines of the nearest Union ship, not the heavily armored hull. The missiles hit perfectly. The alien ship lost power and began drifting helplessly. Target their life support next, Captain Siwoo Beck ordered from his command chair. Make them choose between fighting and breathing. The human ships didn't fight like the Union expected. They didn't trade shots at long range. They moved fast, targeting specific systems, creating maximum confusion with minimum ammunition. Every shot had a purpose. On the Union flagship, alarms screamed. Multiple hits on deck 7 through 10. We're losing atmosphere. Return fire, Vexillar ordered. Concentrate on their lead ships. But the human ships weren't where Union weapons expected them to be. They moved unpredictably, breaking formation, regrouping, attacking from new angles. The rigid Union battle doctrine couldn't adapt fast enough. Marine Commander Minho Seo watched the battle from his assault ship. His team was waiting for their moment. When a large Union vessel lost its engines and began spinning slowly in space, he saw his opportunity. That one, he said. Boarding action. Let's go. His assault ship latched onto the crippled Union vessel. His Marines cut through the hull and poured inside. They wore powered armor that made them look like metal giants. Their weapons were ready. The Union crew inside had never experienced boarding actions. They were scientists, engineers, and explorer soldiers. When the armored humans burst through their corridors, many of them simply froze in terror. "Secure the engine room," Minho ordered. "Non-lethal when possible, but protect yourselves first." The Marines moved through the ship like they had done this 1,000 times before. In training, they had. Every human soldier practiced close combat. It was part of their basic education. Fight in small spaces, fight in zero gravity, fight when everything goes wrong. The Union soldiers had no such training. When they tried to resist, they moved clumsily, their weapons unfamiliar in their hands. Some surrendered immediately, others fled deeper into their ship. Within 30 minutes, Minho's team had captured the entire vessel. The surviving Union crew was gathered in the main bay, staring at their captors with 4 eyes wide in shock and fear. Medical Officer Gina Kwan moved among the captured aliens, treating their injuries. Many were simply traumatized, shaking, and unable to speak. One Velkari soldier kept repeating the same phrase over and over. "They don't stop! They don't stop! They don't stop!" "What do you mean?" Gina asked gently. "You're soldiers," the alien whispered. "They never stopped. We shot them. Their armor took damage, but they kept coming. They don't feel fear. What are you?" Gina didn't know how to answer that. To her, this was just what soldiers did. You kept fighting even when you were scared. You kept moving even when it hurt. That was basic training for every human. But these aliens had never learned that lesson. They came from safe worlds where survival didn't require constant struggle. The battle continued for 3 more hours. The Union fleet tried to regroup, but the damage was done. Their formations were broken. Their morale was shattered. Their ships were being picked apart one by one. "Retreat!" Vexilar finally ordered. "All ships, jump to hyperspace immediately!" Of the 30 ships that had arrived, only 3 escaped. The rest were destroyed, crippled, or captured. Union casualties numbered in the tens of thousands, human casualties numbered in the hundreds. In the aftermath, Admiral Yoon surveyed the battlefield from his ship. Debris floated everywhere. Damaged Union vessels sent out distress calls. Some human ships moved to rescue survivors. Others stood guard, weapons still ready. "We won," his tactical officer said quietly. "No," Admiral Yoon said. "This was just the first real battle. When the Union sees what happened here, they'll understand. They started a war with a species that knows how to fight. Now they have to decide what to do about it." On the captured Union ships, survivors sent messages back to their homeworlds. The messages all said the same things. The humans are not primitives. They are predators. They fight like nothing we've ever seen. They don't fear death. "We made a terrible mistake. Someone must stop this before it's too late." But in the Union capital, those messages were ignored. Vexilar, furious and humiliated, was already planning his response. He would not accept defeat from a Deathworld species. He would gather the full might of the Galactic Union and crush humanity completely. The awakening had begun. The Union finally understood they were at war. What they didn't understand yet was that humans had been preparing for war their entire history, and now Earth was coming for them. President Yuri Nam stood before the cameras, about to address all of humanity. Behind her, Earth hung in the view screen, blue and beautiful. In front of her, billions of people on Earth and its colonies waited to hear what she would say. She had been awake for 30 hours straight. Her advisors had argued for a diplomatic solution. The military wanted total war. The people were afraid but angry. She had to choose a path that humanity would follow together. "Citizens of Earth," she began. 2 weeks ago, we reached out to the stars with hope. We wanted to find friends among the cosmos. Instead, we found an empire that called us primitives. They demanded we surrender our freedom. When we refused, they killed 200 of our people without hesitation." She paused, letting that sink in. "Then they came with 30 ships to finish the job. They thought we would surrender. Instead, we taught them the first lesson about humanity. We do not surrender. We do not kneel. We fight for our freedom." Images from the Battle of Kepler Station played on screens across human space. Union ships exploding, human forces winning decisively. The people watched with grim satisfaction. "Now the Galactic Union is mobilizing their full military," Yuri continued. 300 ships from 47 different species. They are coming to our worlds to make us submit. They think their numbers will overwhelm us. They are wrong." She leaned forward, her voice becoming steel. "They came to our home. They killed our people. They called us barbaric. Let us show them what evolution on a death world truly creates. Let us show them the strength of humanity. We are going on the offensive." Across human space, the reaction was immediate. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Factories converted to military production. Scientists worked on new weapons. Humanity had been divided by politics and culture for centuries, but now they had a common enemy. Commander Ha-Jun Park prepared his team for the most dangerous mission of the war. They were special forces, trained for operations behind enemy lines. Their assignment was to infiltrate Union space and sabotage military targets before the enemy fleet could launch. "Remember," Ha-Jun told his 12 team members, "these species have never experienced war like this. They don't expect anyone to attack their home worlds. They think war happens out in space, far from civilians. We're going to teach them otherwise." His team boarded a modified freighter that looked like any other cargo ship. Using forged Union credentials that Su-Min Lee's intelligence division had created, they entered Union space without being stopped. The Union's security was designed to prevent military fleets, not small infiltration teams. Their first target was a military shipyard orbiting the planet Talvor. The shipyard was building new warships for the Union fleet. It was defended, but lightly. The Union had never needed heavy defenses on their industrial facilities. Ha-Jun's team approached in maintenance pods, pretending to be regular workers. Once inside, they moved through the facility, planting explosives at key structural points. The Union workers they encountered were confused, but not suspicious. The idea of saboteurs was foreign to them. "Charges set," whispered Aounji, his demolitions expert. "We have 15 minutes." They evacuated just as the explosives detonated. The shipyard tore itself apart in a chain reaction of explosions. 6 partially built warships were destroyed. The facility would be offline for months. Ha-Jun's team hit 4 more targets over the next week: a fuel depot, a weapons factory, a training center. Each time, the Union's lack of wartime thinking made the missions almost too easy. But the psychological impact was devastating. Union species had lived in peace for centuries. The idea that war could come to their homes, that their factories and stations could be destroyed, created mass panic. Captain Siwoo Baek commanded the carrier fleet that spearheaded Earth's offensive. His flagship, the Vengeance, carried 100 fighter craft and 3,000 personnel. He had 5 other carriers under his command, along with 30 support vessels. His strategy was simple but brutal. Hit Union military targets hard and fast, then jump away before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Never stay in one place. Never give the enemy time to adapt. His first target was a Union supply depot in the Kepler Expanse. The depot was guarded by 12 ships, but they were spread out, complacent. Siwoo's fighters struck like a swarm, overwhelming the defenders before they could coordinate a response. The depot was destroyed in 40 minutes. Siwoo's fleet jumped away with 0 casualties. His second target was a communications hub. His third was a troop transport convoy. His fourth was a repair station. Each victory sent shockwaves through the Union. Their military was being dismantled piece by piece. Dr. Hannah Park had a new assignment now. Instead of preparing for peaceful first contact, she was analyzing enemy psychology. She watched recordings of captured Union soldiers, studied their reactions to combat, and compiled reports for the military command. "They're psychologically fragile," she reported to Admiral Yoon. "Most Union species evolved as prey animals, not predators. They have strong flight responses, but weak fight responses. When confronted with sustained violence, they experience something like mass hysteria." "Can we use that?" Yoon asked. "We already are," Hannah said. "Every battle we win, every facility we destroy, it spreads fear throughout the Union. They're not used to feeling unsafe. Some species are already withdrawing from the coalition." Indeed, the Union was fracturing. 15 species had formally withdrawn their military support, citing concerns about the escalating conflict. Their populations were demanding protection, not foreign wars. The politicians who had supported the attack on humanity were losing power, but High Chancellor Vexillar refused to back down. He had staked his entire reputation on defeating humanity. If he surrendered now, his career would be over. So he pushed forward with Operation Final Peace, his plan to attack Earth directly with the full Union fleet. 300 ships assembled at the staging point. It was the largest military force the Union had ever gathered. Vexillar stood on his flagship's bridge, watching his armada prepare to jump. "The humans have been fortunate so far," he told his staff. "They have used surprise and deception. But against overwhelming numbers, those tactics will fail. We will jump directly to Earth. We will blockade their planet. They will surrender, or we will bombard their cities until they do." His advisors nodded, but many looked uncomfortable. Reports from the front lines painted a disturbing picture. Human forces fought with a ferocity and creativity that Union military doctrine couldn't counter. Their soldiers never seemed to break, never seemed to fear death the way Union soldiers did. "What if they don't surrender?" one advisor asked quietly. "Then we show them the true power of the Galactic Union," Vexillar said. "Prepare to jump." But Doyon Kim was watching. His stealth ship had been shadowing Union fleet movements for weeks now. As soon as the 300 ships began gathering at the staging point, he sent word back to Earth. Admiral Yoon received the message and immediately convened the War Council. "They're coming to Earth. All of them. 300 ships. Can we stop that many?" someone asked. "We don't have to stop them," Yoon said. "We just have to hurt them badly enough that they lose the will to continue. President Nam has authorized Operation Homecoming. Every ship we have will defend Earth, but more importantly, we're going to make this battle so costly that the Union will beg for peace." He pulled up a tactical map. "We'll meet them here, between Mars and Earth. We'll use the asteroid belt for cover. We'll hit them with everything we have, and we'll show them that taking Earth will require a price they're not willing to pay." 400 human warships, every vessel Earth could muster, moved into position. They set up defensive lines, mined the approach vectors, and prepared weapons. This would be the decisive battle of the war. In the human fleet, soldiers prepared for battle. Some wrote letters to their families. Others checked their weapons one more time. A few prayed to various gods, but all of them shared one thought: Earth would not fall. Captain Jiho Kang, recovered from his wounds at Kepler Station, now commanded a destroyer in the defensive fleet. He thought about the 200 crew members he had lost at the war's beginning. He thought about Ambassador Threlman's contempt. He thought about all the reasons humanity was fighting. "Contacts incoming," his sensor officer reported. 300 Union ships dropping out of hyperspace. "All ships, battle stations, Admiral Yoon's voice came over the fleet channel. "Remember what we're fighting for. Remember what they did. Show them no mercy, because they showed us none. For Earth. For Earth!" 400 human captains answered as one. The Union fleet appeared, massive and overwhelming. But the humans didn't flinch. They had been preparing for this moment since their ancestors first looked up at the stars. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The battle for Earth lasted 18 hours. It was the longest, bloodiest engagement of the war. The Union fleet came with overwhelming numbers. 300 ships against 400 human vessels. On paper, it should have been close. In reality, it was a slaughter. The human fleet fought like they had nothing to lose because, in a way, they didn't. This was their home. Behind them was Earth, with billions of people who depended on them. There was nowhere to retreat to. There was only victory or death. The Union fleet fought like an organization following procedures. Their captains coordinated through proper channels. They maintained formations. They followed the battle plan that High Chancellor Vexillar had designed. But war doesn't follow plans. Admiral Yoon directed the human fleet with the instincts of a predator. He feinted left and attacked right. He sacrificed damaged ships as bait to draw enemy forces into traps. He used the asteroid belt to hide his movements, striking from unexpected angles. Captain Siwoo Bayek's carrier groups launched wave after wave of fighters. The small craft swarmed Union capital ships, targeting sensors and communications arrays. Blind and unable to coordinate, the massive alien vessels became helpless targets. Aaron Hong, now commanding her own destroyer, led a daring attack straight through the center of the Union formation. Her ship took heavy damage, but she split their fleet in two, allowing human forces to attack from both sides. Commander Minho Seo led boarding parties onto Union ships throughout the battle. His Marines captured vessel after vessel, adding them to humanity's forces. The psychological impact was devastating. Union crews began surrendering rather than face the armored humans in close combat. High Chancellor Vexillar watched his fleet fall apart from his flagship's bridge. Nothing was going according to plan. His ships were being destroyed faster than they could regroup. His captains were panicking. Some vessels were retreating without orders. "We still have numbers," he told his staff desperately. "Order all ships to focus fire on their command vessel. If we kill their admiral, the rest will break." But human command structures were flexible. When one captain fell, another took over. When communications were jammed, individual ships fought on independently. The Union had never seen military forces that could function without constant coordination. After 12 hours of battle, the Union had lost over 100 ships. The human fleet had lost 40. The mathematics of war were clear. Vexillar was losing. "Sir, 15 more captains are requesting permission to withdraw," his communications officer reported. Vexillar wanted to refuse, but he saw the truth on his tactical display. The battle was lost. "All ships, retreat to Rally Point Omega. We will regroup," and an explosion rocked the flagship. Human missiles had found their target. The main engines went offline. Life support failed on multiple decks. "We're dead in space," the tactical officer said. Vexillar stared at the screen showing Earth, that small blue world that had defeated his mighty fleet. He had underestimated them. The entire Union had underestimated them. Now they would pay the price. "Send a message to the human admiral," he said quietly. "Tell him I wish to discuss terms." Admiral Yoon received the message on his damaged but functional flagship. Around him, the remains of the Union fleet were retreating in chaos. The human fleet was battered but victorious. "He wants to surrender," Yoon's communications officer reported. "Tell him we'll discuss terms after we've secured all Union vessels in the battle zone," Yoon said. "And contact President Nam. She needs to make the final decision about what happens next." Over the next 6 hours, human forces secured the battlefield. 180 Union ships were either destroyed or captured. Only 120 escaped, and most of those were damaged. The Union's military power was broken, but the human victory came with a cost. 40 ships lost meant thousands of human casualties, families who would never see their loved ones again. The price of freedom, paid in blood. President Yuri Nam met with her closest advisors in the war room. On the screen, High Chancellor Vexillar's face appeared, his 4 eyes tired and defeated. "We surrender," he said simply. "The Galactic Union acknowledges defeat. We will accept your terms for peace." "Your surrender is not enough," Yuri said coldly. "You started this war. You killed our people without provocation. You called us primitives and tried to enslave us. Why should we show you mercy?" "Because you are better than we believed," Vexillar said. "We were wrong about everything. About your species, about your capabilities, about what would happen if we attacked you. We were arrogant and foolish. Now we beg for mercy." Admiral Yoon spoke up from his position on the call. "We have the capability to destroy every Union world. Our fleet can reach your capitals within days. We could end the Union entirely." Vexillar's eyes closed. "We know. We have no defense against you. If you choose to destroy us, we cannot stop you. We can only ask that you be quick and spare as many civilians as possible." The room fell silent. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Nari Choi, who had survived the attack on the Indomitable, was present as a representative of the crew who had died. She spoke with barely controlled anger. "They gave us no mercy. They laughed at our offer of peace. They murdered 200 of my friends. Why should we show them anything but the same?" Captain Ji-Ho Kang, also present via video link, added his voice. "Every Union world is vulnerable now. We could end this threat forever. Make sure they can never attack anyone again. That's justice for the people we lost." Dr. Hannah Park, who had witnessed everything from the beginning, spoke more quietly. "We're angry. We have every right to be angry. But we have to ask ourselves, what kind of species do we want to be? We fought this war to prove we're not monsters. If we commit genocide now, we prove the Union was right about us all along." "They would have destroyed us," Ji-Ho said bitterly. "Probably," Hannah agreed. "But they failed. We won. Now we get to choose what victory means." President Nam listened to all of them. She thought about the 200 who died in the first attack. She thought about the thousands more who died defending Earth. She thought about the billions of Union civilians who had nothing to do with the decision to attack humanity. Finally, she spoke to Vexillar. "These are our terms. The Galactic Union will completely demilitarize. You will destroy 90% of your warships and convert the rest to peaceful purposes. You will pay reparations to the families of every human who died in this war. You will issue a formal apology and recognize Earth as a sovereign power with full rights in the galactic community." Vexillar's eyes opened in surprise. "You're not going to destroy us?" "No," Yuri said. "We're going to show you mercy. Not because you deserve it, you don't, but because we choose to be better than you were to us. We choose to prove that humanity is capable of both strength and compassion." She leaned forward. "But understand this clearly. If the Union ever threatens humanity again, if any species attacks us or our allies, there will be no mercy next time. We will show you what Deathworlders can really do when we stop holding back. This is your only warning." "We accept your terms," Vexillar said immediately. "All of them, without negotiation or complaint. The Union will honor this agreement absolutely." The call ended. President Nam sat back in her chair, suddenly exhausted. "Did we make the right choice?" she asked the room. "History will tell us," Admiral Yoon said. "But I think we did. We proved we could win the war. Now we're proving we can win the peace. 10 years passed. The Galactic Union reformed with Earth as a member. The Union species demilitarized as promised. They paid reparations. They studied humanity with a mixture of fear and fascination. Universities across the galaxy now taught courses on Deathworld psychology and human military history. The textbooks were filled with warnings and lessons. The most important lesson: never underestimate a species that survived on a Class 12 world. Captain Jiho Kang, now Admiral Jiho Kang, commanded Earth's defense forces. He oversaw the memorial on Luna where the names of all 200 crew members from the Indomitable were carved in stone. Every year he visited and placed flowers. The war had ended, but he never forgot how it began. Nari Choi became an engineer designing Earth's new generation of warships. They were powerful enough to defend humanity, but designed primarily for exploration and peacekeeping. She carried the memory of her lost friends in everything she built. Dr. Hannah Park wrote a book about the war, titled The Choice of Mercy. It became required reading for diplomats across the galaxy. In it, she wrote, "They begged for mercy after showing us none. We answered with devastation, proving our strength. Then we chose compassion, proving our wisdom. That is what makes us human, not our capacity for violence, but our choice to temper it with mercy." The book's final chapter discussed the importance of that choice. The galaxy now knows two things about humanity. First, we can destroy anyone who threatens us. Second, we prefer not to. That combination of strength and restraint is what makes us powerful. Fear makes others careful around us. Mercy makes them willing to work with us. High Chancellor Vexillar, removed from power but alive, spent his final years writing his own memoirs. In them, he admitted his mistakes. We saw humans as primitives from a savage world. We failed to understand that their world made them strong. We failed to see that their history of conflict taught them how to win wars. Most importantly, we failed to recognize that a species capable of such violence could also choose peace. On Earth, a memorial stood in Geneva, where the United Earth government had its headquarters. The memorial was a simple black wall with golden letters listing every human who died in the war. At the bottom, an inscription read, "They died so humanity could show the galaxy both its fangs and its heart. They died defending freedom. They died proving that mercy is not weakness, but the ultimate expression of strength. Remember them, honor them, and never forget the choice they made possible." Children visited the memorial on school trips. Veterans stood silently before it, remembering friends and comrades. Politicians made speeches there about the importance of both strength and compassion. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not to be threatened. But humanity was also not the monster the Union had feared. They were something more complex, more interesting, more worthy of respect. Deathworlders who could devastate their enemies but chose mercy instead. And in the cold mathematics of galactic politics, that combination made humanity more powerful than any weapon ever could.